Hello, this is Tony Hiller from RealClimateScience.com. 16 years ago today, Al Gore was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, and at the ceremony he solemnly predicted that the Arctic would be ice-free by the year 2014.
Another new study to be presented by U.S. Navy researchers later this week warns it could happen in as little as 7 years. 7 years from now. In the last few months, it has been harder and harder to misinterpret the signs that our world is spinning out of kilter.
To understand how Al Gore came to that conclusion, let's take a look at Al Gore's history with science. Antarctic ice cores show a relationship between carbon dioxide and temperature over the last 500,000 years. A large swing in temperature, about 10 degrees Celsius, is associated with a relatively small change in carbon dioxide, about 100 parts per million. The principle behind this has been understood for a very long time. Colder liquids retain more dissolved carbon dioxide, so warmer liquids can't hold on to as much CO2. When ocean temperatures increase, the water outgasses carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And when ocean temperatures decrease, the oceans absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. But Al Gore interpreted this graph in the exact opposite fashion. He believed that small changes in the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere produce large changes in temperature. This interpretation doesn't make any sense for a couple of reasons. The first problem is that cooling begins when carbon dioxide levels are high, and warming begins when carbon dioxide levels are low. This is the exact opposite of what would occur if carbon dioxide was driving temperature rather than the other way around. The other problem is that the implied climate sensitivity is completely unreasonable. Under Al Gore's interpretation, a 100 part per million change in carbon dioxide would produce a 10 degrees Celsius change in temperature. Nobody believes anything that absurd. But Al Gore wasn't willing to let real science interfere with his junk science. In 1990, he announced that any scientist who didn't agree with his misinterpretation of Antarctic ice cores was unethical. When Al Gore became vice president in 1993, he carried through on his threats. My good friend Dr. Bill Gray from Colorado State University was considered the world's leading tropical meteorologist, and he was the inventor of modern hurricane forecasting. When Al Gore became vice president in 1993, he held a global warming conference in Washington, D.C., and invited Dr. Gray to attend. Bill said he would be happy to attend, but wanted Gore to know that he wasn't a big fan of Gore's global warming theories. Bill had received funding every year from NOAA for decades prior to that, but after he told Gore that, he was blackballed and never got another penny out of the government. Gore created the consensus by cutting off any academics who didn't go along with the scam. The global warming scam was very valuable to Al Gore, however. He made about $100 million profit selling his global warming television channel to Arab oil producers.
Is Al Gore a prophet? I just spelled profit.
Al Gore was very persistent with his global warming scam, and in 2006 he produced a science fiction movie called An Inconvenient Truth, in which he used his misinterpretation of Antarctic ice core data. He was apparently hoping that his viewers didn't notice that a recent large increase in the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere did not have an associated increase in Antarctic temperatures. But Gore was apparently aware of the problem because his good friend and movie producer Laureate put this graph in a children's textbook. What she did was reverse the x-axis to make it look like carbon dioxide-led temperature rather than the other way around. After Gore made his science fiction movie in 2006, at the Sundance Film Festival, he said we only had 10 years to save the planet from global warming. He said the world would reach a point of no return in 2016. And he was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for spewing this sort of misinformation. Since he made his 2007 forecast of an ice-free Arctic by the year 2014, there's been no trend in the Arctic sea ice minimum, either from NSIDC or OSI. In 2008, the leading Norwegian Arctic expert predicted the polar ice cap might disappear that summer. Also in 2008, the leading Canadian expert predicted the North Pole might be ice-free that summer. Based on the forecasts of academics, British swimmer Lewis Pugh tried to kayak to the North Pole. He didn't make it very far. Canadian expert Fortier was a little more conservative. He said the Arctic wouldn't be ice-free until at least 2010. NASA's leading Arctic expert Jay Zwally predicted the ice would be gone by 2012. Mark Cerise from the National Snow and Ice Data Center said the Arctic is screaming. National Geographic and the Associated Press predicted the ice would be gone by 2012. The BBC predicted the ice would be gone by 2013. Al Gore said 2014. NASA's James Hansen started the global warming scare before Congress in 1988. He said the ice would be gone between 2013 and 2018. Democrats in Congress recognized him as a climate prophet. The Sierra Club said that Arctic sea ice will vanish in 2013. Biden's climate envoy John Kerry said 2014.
You have sea ice, which is melting at a rate that the Arctic Ocean now increasingly is exposed. In 5 years, scientists predict we will have the first ice-free Arctic summer.
And Obama's science advisor John Holdren said the Arctic was not only going to be free of ice in the summer, but it was also going to be free of ice in the winter. I was watching all of this nonsense in 2008 and started writing about it at the time. I wrote this article in August 2008 in the Register. Arctic ice refuses to melt as ordered. For the past 15 years, I've been called a climate denier, while the people who are spreading the misinformation are getting Nobel Prizes. Toto has been pulling back the curtain on the climate scam for more than 15 years. You can visit him and his large family on the web at realclimatescience.com.